over. We'll see how he builds up here, if he tries to take high ground, or it looks like he might actually be making a play for that.
Yeah. Up, realizes he has the RPG and wants to start sending everyone cascading down, but opts not to fire it. So interesting decision there. I actually thought he would have sent it down. Instead turns towards the player underneath him, and him and Ricky are gonna try and isolate that player in order to convert it into an elim. Now he's going to look skyward. I figure he would want to reset that before they got too established. Nope. Instead, he's going to say, my high ground now. Perfectly timed launch pad to get it right at that maximum deploy height. And now, all of a sudden, Joyza and Ricky on the high ground with a whole bunch of resources.
And 12 rockets in their RPG. We've seen this time and time again. Explosives are extremely strong, but they are even stronger when they are raining down on players from ultimate high ground. These players do not have to worry at all about anything that is happening above or below them. They need to be looking up at Jazia and his teammate, because they are actually going to go on a little bit of a tear here. Let's see if they can get any more eliminations. They've already picked up one, but you can see him. Jazia's ready. He's got that RPG out, Sundown.
He has it out. He's trying to make sure it's loaded. Stinks continue going up. That looks like it's his teammates since he's just walking through that. Does hit top 5 now. Ricky has taken a solid amount of damage, but continues tossing down Stinks towards the low ground, but he hasn't found anything with it. So far, they've only converted this into one, and Ricky actually got knocked flame all of a sudden. Flame and Unique picked up 2 there, and they're into the top 3 with a 2v1v1. Joyza on the high ground. Dorothy isolated in front of them. They're going to try and pinch. RPG comes down, but Joyza commits himself, falling down after the RPG, taking 80+ damage. So now rifts himself up to the sky, but this is going to give Flame and Unique all of the pace, all of the pressure. Dorothy gets pushed down. Unique does get chipped out, so he needs to be careful. Joyza, recognizing this, knows he needs to go now before it's isolated, but there's the maximum deploy height. Might as well just be hanging out. Flips his head, finally touches his feet, and gets blasted for it. Flame and Unique, we hopped on board with them. They had 2 elims. They converted into a 7 elim victory royale for 17 points, Spooky.
Very well done coming out of those 2. And Jazia made a little bit of a mistake there. He did miss that floor that was built out, but unfortunately for him, he didn't have much of a choice. He didn't have any mats left, so he had to rift. That was literally his only play. Fortunately, it didn't work out, but let's hop right into another game from the Asian servers. We are looking at the Trigger Boys again. They're sitting at 9 eliminations already this game. So, you know, let's kind of see if they're able to pull something off here.
And again, one thing I highly recommend, if you have the ability to go back and watch these guys' VODs, because I know a lot of people, they like to talk about the zero ping wall takers and going somewhere else to play. These are players playing from Southeast Asia, playing from Vietnam, being able to execute together, finding a strategy that works for them, team firing and coordinating. It was very impressive to watch. And there's honestly a couple of situations in the early and mid game where it felt like they really shouldn't have got out of, and they had really cool disengages. So highly recommend checking out these 2 players in particular if you want someone who might feel a little more accessible in terms of going over, and it's something that, like, hey, I can do this, because I know there's sometimes when I watch VODs of like Benji Fishy or Clicks or Dubs, and it's like, well, I'm never going to try that ever, so.
Never say never, believe in yourself.
Some of these kids, some of the guys going to the Fortnite World Cup final are infinitely better than I could ever hope to be mechanically, and honestly have shown why they are that good. Like, these guys are the best of the best and just do some mechanical stuff that hasn't been seen before. But that is not the only way to be successful in this game. There's plenty of paths in Fortnite Battle Royale to get there and to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can be mechanically amazing. You know, you can have smart rotations. That's what I love about the Battle Royale genre as a whole. There's just so many different working parts. And I feel as though, you know, there are some duos that do some things really great and others that do other things even better. So that's why it's always so exciting to me to be spectating duos and being able to be here and casting these games, just so that you can see how these duos work together, how they play to their strengths. They are going to be taking, that That one gets me every time. I had to quickly look down into the inventory there to make sure he had the redeploy. I was like, what are you doing, Unique? Please!
I still get a little bit of vertigo anytime. Even if I know they have it, it's just like I'm desperately afraid of heights. But we're into the top 10 now as Unique and Flame. Now you can see high utility. Again, 2-gun loadout, but using as much of the utility.
Ooh.
And RRQ hero Kappa just gets ripped 4-shot out from under him, and they catch him before he even hits the ground. Up to 91 points so far from Unique and Flame, and just so well done.
Yeah, and you can see there, just, you know, they started shooting at the wall and then both immediately switched down to the floor. Smart plays coming out of them as always. Here we have Met. I'm going to take a stab at that name. I know that, thank goodness it's me casting here and not Zeke, because...
he would have panicked and probably fell out of his chair. But now, Met taking shots from the high ground, looking down here, trying to find what he can. Gets GCBM, GGK with a perfectly placed rocket, and now he's going to look to punish that backside of the storm. That was the conversion over to the knock he'd already gotten, so nothing else to do in there. As Haruki trying to put shots out towards the rest of the lobby, they find Huda Fishy. So Benji Fishy transcending regions now, all the way over in Asia, people trying to get that luck, but not going to be enough because the SP duo currently running up on the high ground onto 7 elims, looking for number 8 with that rocket. Got to be careful when you edit. However, Harakiro goes down.
Yeah, he just completely dropped down there, possibly to make it easier for his partner to possibly get him. But, you know, it isn't going to matter because the zone is moving, so he is going to completely fall. Here we have the Trigger Boys. Actually, my apologies. It's only Unique still alive in this match. He has used a Shadow Bomb to position himself perfectly for the next rotation. Is building up, kind of taking mid-ground at this point. There are only 7 players. Make that 6 left in this lobby, 5 duos. So this is almost a solo game at this point.
Yeah, and now he got the other duo knocked, so it is a straight-up solo game. If he can convert on that, it will go through, and he's into the top 5. So a huge play despite Flame going down. Conversion does go through, and he finds Kosa as well. So now straight-up solos. 9 elims on Unique. It's a 1v1, and this was for all the money. Unique wanted it to be enough. He was sitting there. This was their second to last game. They needed to clutch out. They needed every single point possible, and will he be able to find it? We're watching the left side of the screen right now as Unique disengages down towards the bottom. Matt up on the high ground again as he's trying to run him around and find an angle. One thing to note, only has 6 mats and only has the redeploy, which is a top-down mechanic, so he wants to sneak a shot on him. He knows he has to save mats. Hello!
He jumped the rocket!
What?
That's
ridiculous!
He jumped the rocket!
It went up onto the low ground, just being a tile of a square away. Gets the first shot with the combat. Now he has the pressure. He finds the zone. He has to go forward, though, because here's the change in elevation. He finds the first shot. Can he find the second? And he does! He finds it! 7 XP left. Gets the siphon to tick over. Unique puts it on his back. 24 points. 14 eliminations and the victory royale. Look at the fossil. Look at the plays. The Vietnamese duo doing it. They said, we don't need 0 ping. We don't need to take your walls. We'll do it with style. We'll do it with execution, and we'll do it with coordination. But now we're hopping over back into live games. This isn't stuff from last night or early this morning, depending on where you live. This is from Brazil. We're going all the way down to South America, and now on board with Nothing, No Name, and Clipnode. Clipnode, who actually grabbed the final solo qualification spot last week.
Yeah, congratulations to him. We saw him absolutely playing out of his mind. He 100% deserves that, because Clipnode is somebody who, when we first started this whole journey with World Cup, I really wasn't sure who he was, but we've seen him time and time again be extremely consistent, just with utilizing, all of the things that he's learned so far. To see him qualify last week, sneak that in, but now he's here with Nothing, No Name, and they are certainly trying to make names for themselves today. Clipnode using that launch pad to rotate over. Tons of players left in this lobby, so things might get a little bit dicey for him. This terrain is going to be extremely difficult for these players to navigate. We see these 2 massive mountains in the middle here. The amount of high ground and materials they're going to need to come into play to make these rotations easy for everyone is going to be something to witness for sure.
I hate endgames over here.
I love them.
I don't do particularly well in those circumstances. Oh, hello! Great edits coming out from Clipnode. Gets the heavy snipe on the box across. catches the hot potato grenade midway through. Hello, there's another one. Can he get over in the box? Great re-edit as well. If he didn't close it, would have taken damage there. But this is what a World Cup qualifier looks like. The individual plays to get away from that. And man, the guy with the grenade launcher on the low ground is just pinging them into those windows.
He's not missing a shot at all. I don't know if I would ever say that term with a grenade launcher. You're not missing shots, but you know, he was absolutely nailing those. Now, like you said, you don't like being over here, but this is what it's all about to me. Anybody can, not anybody, but it's much easier to be on very flat terrain, tunnel through. This is what I love to see. This brings out the actual skill sets of these players. It shows us, you know, how mechanically gifted they are, how much they've practiced, how much time they've put into doing scrims and doing arenas, and just showing us why they're here, why they're trying to qualify, and hopefully get those spots to New York.
Yeah, and you do see that Storm Surge is on the right-hand side. What Storm Surge is if a certain number of players are alive and the lobby gets a little too active, the people who have been the most passive will be punished. But because we're down below 30 players, it's turned off and will no longer be active. We've now hit top 15 and we're into those first round of placement points. Now remember, top 15 is 3 points. If you're able to get in the top 10, it nets you an additional 2 for 5. Top 5 gets you 2 more, and then the Victory Royale is 3 for a total of 10. And generally, if you're qualifying for the World Cup, you're looking for a 50-50 split. You need high placements and you need high eliminations. The balanced approach is what gets you there. As you can see right now, Clip Noted, Nothing No Name, 11 eliminations so far, in closing in on top 10.
And they get rifted up into the sky there. That definitely was not Clip Nodes. I don't believe it was Nothing No Means either. That would have been a completely other player trying to get out of a little bit of a sticky situation there by using the rift. You can see No Name landing on the high ground, utilizing that community launch pad to pull himself back over to his teammate, because they did get separated for a short moment there. Clip Node has actually used the launch pad as well, or was still up in the air, but it isn't going to matter. He goes down. Unfortunately, lands in the box of another player. Missed is missed, takes him out.
Right, but Nothing No Name was directly underneath it and edited him down in between. He's gonna try and stick this revive, and he does. He got it. Can they edit back over? They got the next box. He's on sub 30 HP, and he gets back in. He has 10 HP. Will they be able to find anything? Player behind. Flipnote goes back down. Can he find it? No. Gets picked up, but they got the top 10. So 12 elim points plus the 5 going through. 17-point performance from Clipnote and Nothing No Name, but they're not going to be a factor in the rest of the lobby. You have Solinho and Seko on the low ground. Matakuski and Ernie just above them, with Falls and Ducky 1 tarp above. Solinho does have 1 more chug splash and could use it potentially, but wants to hold off. Waiting for top 5 for the next threshold as W Key Edit picks up Obi, and we get closer and closer. Lua gets ticked over, and now we have 7 duos remaining. Solinho just taking a little bit of a breather, swapping up on the mats while all the action happens above him. Esteban picks up Ducky, and we close in on the top 5. Trap arms and goes off above, but no elimination. Ticks over as the Soccer Skins continue to look. Poised Playmaker wants to make a play, but they also want top 5, constantly checking their sides, realizing they're okay right now. And I mean, man, they're running low on mats.
They are running low on mats, but they do own all of this. So hopefully, you know, they're going to be able to utilize that to advantage. Edit down just like that. He takes out Expert. You know, that is the advantage of having all of those builds to yourself. You completely dominate the mid and low ground with edits when you have that. Ernie going down, falling to Soul. Soul gets another shot, 98 with a combat shotgun. It isn't going to be enough. Can his teammate follow out? Seago's out in the storm, but does come back in. Seago's sitting on very little HP, about 50 effective HP to his name right now, and they have to play low ground right now because they don't have a choice.
It's a 2v2. You have MST and his partner Esteban in the top right. Seko in the bottom right with Solinho. Everything else on the Y. Solinho looking for the angle. Player drops out into the side. This MAST going for it, but Seko gets the first knock. The flint knock is off into the sky. The fall damage. Hello. Can he catch himself and get back into the zone? Will it be enough? Solinho's tracking him in. No, it's not enough. Solinho picks up the double, throws a nice little pumpernickel, and then into the iconic or break it down. Let him know. Throw a hootenanny in there as well, and a great finish. And also, Pookie, I got to give you a shout out right there. The way you called just the edit down and the fact how he was looking for it and then it happened immediately after. I just, in my head, I'm like man, they're burning so many of their builds. Like, this seems like a waste, but just spot on with that right there. So hats off to you. Nice little clap. Well done.
Thank you. Don't let my ego get too big, Sundown, you know, or
Oh,
else
no,
I'm not
it's
going to
okay.
be
I'll
able to fit
knock
through the
you.
door later.
I live with Zeke. I'm an expert at knocking people down a peg.
Perfect. Can't wait for this game for you to say something to just completely catch me off guard. But here we are in another match. We're looking at King and Zone. They hit that snipe. You guys know how much I love seeing those heavy snipe shots. They're my absolute favorite. This is what I have come here to see today. Give me the snipe shots all day, Cam.
Oh, it's both the best and the worst feeling. Like, yes, it feels great when you get it, but at the same time, when you're just rotating around, you're hanging out in your box, and you feel like, hey, maybe I got my one layer, I can peek on a side, then all of a sudden, boom, boom. Or like you're jumping all the way around your 360, you're checking your side, and you just get your face ripped off, and you know, it feels awful. And even sometimes you're launch padding going through and somebody hits that shot. That feels great for them. The player who jump padded over, not so much. But King and X-Zone trying to make the plays. King actually recently getting signed to that 9Z team going over. Originally was King, I Will Not Lose, has qualified for the solos portion. The young Argentinian doing everything he can to reach it in the duo side. Him and X-Zone have been so close.
Taking a few shots there, having them pay off. Still sitting on high ground, though, with the heavy sniper. Come on, King, give us another snipe shot, dude. But you see him here just looking for any kind of players that were trying to come out of the zone there and get to safety. He's not going to let it happen. He's saying, you know what? I'm king of the high ground here. I'm going to gatekeep you all day.
Yes, he's going to look towards the outside there, not going to acknowledge the pun. It was a pretty good one, I'll give you that. As Lucky Boy and Luco Boy over on the side here, 7 elims as we're closing in on the first placement threshold. And honestly, shout outs to Brazil. They've stepped their level up every single week. Some of their qualification barriers actually ending up being higher than NA West in some of those circumstances in the duo week. So just a really high level of competition, and just the fact that it's pushed up every single week. You can see Storm Surge coming through there, and Lottie getting a great shot with the combat there. And that's what we talked about, kind of the difference of the timer, being able to just throw the combat out there, get the wall shot in, and then immediately swap back over it. So now he's going to try to go aggressive because he wants to convert on that.
And you can hear all of the shadow bombs going off behind. He's going to have to be very careful. He isn't built behind him, so there could possibly be players sneaking in behind. But he is going to continue to try to edit forward. Picks up another elimination on Nis and Greg. They both fall to him there.
Yeah, and that was the double, is them trying to stick the revive. And at that point, man, you just got to let your teammate go.
Yeah.
Let him, you hang him out, you let your buddy and be like, hey, you know what, it's been a good run, but I'm going to go try and get those placement points. They fell outside of the top 15, so it's huge because you waste, I don't want to say waste all the time because you get whatever elim points, but not getting at least the 3 placement points from top 15, it hurts. It hurts the mental game, it hurts your score, it hurts your efficiency in terms of getting the points, as now we're on board with Barboisa, Lee, Golden Boy's favorite, as him and Zodi Boy are trying to make a run at it, currently sitting on 5, make it 6 elims and 33 points and a great loadout.
Yeah, and he just completely obliterated Les there. So Lee takes out Les. That's a good one. That's an interesting one for later. But he does throw the stink bomb down. Now, we've seen time and time again those being extremely strong. And Zate just gets completely annihilated. Lee now opting to utilize the shadow bomb. Says hello to the baller to his right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen. But then uses the small amount of high ground down there to maybe get any kind of eliminations on people coming into the zone.
Yeah, so if you sneak up on a baller near the outside of the zone and you're in like a late game storm, pickaxe it once and then immediately shoot it out. It'll send them flying out into the zone and you'll get elim credit. Boom, there you go, there's the strat.
Wow, look at these mad strats coming out of Sundown today.
Check Creo's VODs, he does it all the time and it's hysterical because it's one of the consistently easy ways to get elims on players who don't react, because if they don't instantly throw down the grapple and boost forward, they're gone because the momentum persists as soon as the ball breaks, so it'll send them flying out into the zone. It's great.
You know, where have you been for the last 2 years when I've been trying to improve my Fortnite game? I need you to coach me here.
I mean, you can watch the broadcasts and stuff. I drop hints and knowledge like this. It's called the Sundown Rundown or Sit Down with Sundown, whichever one you want. maybe Sunday I'll get the leeway to do my super serious serial Sunday with Sundown, but
that is a lot of alliteration there.
Oh, trust me, it's Fortnite. It's all alliterative. But we're getting closer now to that top 5. 11 elims so far from King and X-Own. X-Own saying, I will not lose. I want to be on that stage with my buddy King, and King being one of those young prodigies out of the SA region, along with Nyx, doing everything they can from this low ground. How well can they execute and get around the side? Body Boy picks up Gozer there and continues his run forward, knowing it'll be ticked over, but King trades him right back, just inside, or just outside the top 5. You can see him wall off the player and want to stick with the zone as it's running out. 10 players remaining, 6 duos left right now as they look for the space. Gozer does finally tick over, but Lottie had been eliminated, and Clement didn't 90 fast enough there. Couldn't cover himself. 13th elim. King has 11 of them as him and X-Zone are working down in the tarp, but Barboisa is trying to do everything he can as he frags himself into the top 5, picking up a double. You have Bravo in your top right and King in the bottom right as he gets another one onto Tade. They're the only duo left in the bottom right. Barboisa gets France. Will he tick over? No, Bravo takes it up, and we have a 2v1 with double campfires on the low ground. Heavy snipers as well. Knock Bravo down. This is one of the top duos. This is a team to keep an eye on. King and X-Zone, 43 points with the victory royale. 25 from that match, Pookie.
Yeah, coming out with 15 eliminations between the two of them. Now, you've said it so many times, you know, getting the placement and getting the eliminations are so important in these games to make sure that you are hitting top of the leaderboard every single week, and we just saw a perfect example of it coming out from those guys right there. Congratulations to them. We can see here for the Brazil games, we only have about 40 minutes remaining, so these games are going to be some of the last ones for these guys, depending on how long they are able to survive. Each match going approximately 20 minutes, so you need to plan your time accordingly and make sure that you are getting the most out of these games, because time and time again we've seen it come down to just a few points, so every point matters.
I mean, we've seen it very frequently coming down to less than a few points. Like, we've gone I think we've gone 2 tiebreakers deep at some point. I think the most we've had to gone is 3 once. I might have to double check that. I know Creo went 2 deep on his when he ended up advancing. But one thing I do want to talk about is kind of the mentality about playing for late. It's something that you've heard all the time in the Fortnite community, but a lot of people don't really understand. Like, there's a big proponent around the idea of W keying or playing aggressive, and taking early aggressive fights when you can gun race and you know you have an advantage. For instance, if you pick up a combat early, or if you pick up a legendary AR at range, or even a green AR before somebody is able to get set and really get a ton of mats, you can pressure somebody and you can go full send and you can go aggro and you can create an advantage for yourself. But in the general run of the game, taking an even fight against players who are roughly as skilled as you or even slightly less, they're going to be able to chip you out. And most players are going to be able to at least delay you or make it worth the time unless you're significantly better than them. Right? So then if you end up being able to be a little more passive, playing a little safer, working around the outside, being more deliberate in how you rotate and get to places, this is called playing for late. Because then you get in these circumstances where you have all the mats, you have the resources, and you're in a more chaotic environment, but you're not knocked out way before taking a 50-50 fight, and all of a sudden we've seen the number of times you win 1 key engagement on the low ground or 1 key engagement on the mid ground, and all of a sudden you take high ground away, or 1 turns into 3 or 4. But you don't get those opportunities if you don't make it to late game.
Exactly. I could not have said that better myself. You know, the thing is too, is early game, you never know what the other player is going to have that you're going up against. You know, you might feel that you're sitting pretty and you've got a great loader. You're like, you know what, I got this combat shotgun, I'm just going to rush. The other guy could be sitting there with an RPG. You haven't shielded up. You're back to the lobby, Sundown. So, you know, not knowing what the other players have is always, you know, that component of the game that can really actually help or hurt you.
And look, right now, as Andrea and Troy has some great gatekeeping on the side, keeping those players who are trying to rotate with their backs at the storm from entering it. Up to 9 elimination now as bot 6 does tick over, and you can see you use your utility, you get as far over as you can, and then you box up and you turn. The combats and the ARs being the primary benefactors right now from what we've seen today in the meta, and then going triple utility out of there. Andreoli not getting the chip there, unfortunately, got a ton of damage, but no Elim credit, is going to pick up all of those resources and tops off with a lot of wood and metal.
Yeah, and we have seen time and time again today, just with how many utility items players are carrying, because the utility items in this game right now are so strong. We did just hit the top 15 threshold. A couple more teams go down so quickly Sunday. We're about to hit that top 10.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm a huge fan right now of the 9.30 loop pool. Just seeing more utility and more shields being opened up for players has kind of enabled them. And then with the adjustments, we've seen players rocking multiple gun loadouts, but we've also seen players going straight for the utility phase. The Chug Splash is offering a lot there, but some nades coming out, trying to get the chip in. They snuck one in, but good coverage as we now hit the top 10, so 5 placement points for everyone in here. So far, this is a 16-point game for Andreoli and Troya.
And he is going to take a moment here, hopefully, he looked like he was going to cone himself in there and try to use the minis, but he isn't unfortunately going to have time. The storm is right at his back, and he is dealing with a player in front of him that he is using all of his builds for here to kind of take cover from. He's only got 21 builds remaining. He is above Loot Lake, so that adds a whole nother level. And unfortunately, Troya does actually go down to the player that they were tracking earlier, and Andreoli actually doesn't know where these shots are coming from. He's getting shot from everywhere at this point. He's being focused. He does end up taking a player out to get that siphon down to 29 effective health. It isn't going to be enough. Tried to use that launch pad to get out, but unfortunately he falls.
Yeah, and it was Santidad who picked him up there, and he's on the mid-tarp. Easy for Blackouts and got picked up, as well as DK. So this is a ton of Brazil's top players, but Santidad goes down, and we have our top 3. Now, top 2. It's a 2v2 with Nehu and Ziox up on the high ground, the other team working the low ground. They have the tarp in between as well. They know that they're in the box on the side. They're looking for him. They have marks towards him. They know the players are there. You can see the outlines in purple right now as the Sinisters is trying to get an angle on the side. Raja and Softy are working back around, but they need to be careful because here comes that change in elevation, and you can already see Zukix trying to knock down the tree, preventing no cover. Raja has absolutely no builds. He always going to try to hit the brick and get back up, and he can't. That's the little change in elevation we talked about. Softy gets taken down, and Zukix picks that one up. Flintknock does get picked up. He's on an all-weapon loadout. Nothing left. And Zukix finds it there. Brilliantly done, pushing them up to 35 points after an 18-pointer. Just well done there. But we're going to send it back over to the studio with Zeke and Bala, I think.
How rude of you. You know Bala. He's the best ever.
Oh, sure.
Yell at me. Gosh. All right, Fortnite fan. We've had an incredible day of games so far, but now we're going to take things just a little bit slow here before our 30-minute break here. We've obviously got to take a look at Oceania, Asia, and that live looking at Brazil. But very quickly, we actually have a little bit of a treat. We're going to be able to chat with Klusha and Thomas HD, who qualified. So, gentlemen, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
What's up, guys? What's up? How are you guys doing?
We are so happy, dude.
Yeah, you guys are so happy? Okay, all right, let's start with Klusha. Tell me the feels,
What's
right?
up?
You see your name up on that leaderboard. What is the very first thing that you did?
We just moves and got a lot of points, just casual, like other days, dude.
Okay, okay. What about you, Thomas? What was the first thing you did? As soon as you saw you qualified, what was the first thing?
I was just checking the whole time. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, okay, okay, all right. So this is kind of a big moment for both of you guys. You know, you've worked so hard for these last 10 weeks of competition. What does it feel like for you guys to finally say, look, all that hard work, that time we've put into Fortnite, it's paying off. We're going to the finals. And how does your family, like, have you told your family, do they kind of understand, you know, what that feels like? We'll start with Thomas.
My family is cool about it, and we're all happy. So I think it's just, I'm so happy, and we're happy.
Yeah, for sure. Klusha, what about you, my man?
What did you say? What was the question?
So for you guys to have worked so hard for 10 weeks to finally get that spot, qualify for New York, and then does your family kind of know what's going on? Do they kind of understand?
Yeah, they do. I qualified in week 5 for solos, so that's when they kind of understood how serious it is.
Yeah.
Like,
and to double up now, I mean, that's crazy. What an accomplishment, right? The double qualification is insane. And it's only a few of you guys, right? But talk to me about learning throughout the 10 weeks. I mean, we've played 5 duos competition now, and the clutch up in the last one is pretty crazy. But learning about not only how to play these types of tournaments, these open qualifiers, and timing. I mean, in that last match, we saw you know, it was a little bit of a lobby, but obviously with that kind of, when you play out those light lobbies, you end up not having an opportunity to play again. So was that the strategy? Was that you trying to get into one of those lobbies?
No, we were actually trying to get into a game after the last game. We had 2 minutes of queuing, but we didn't make into a game, so
just making you sweat.
Yeah,
we were
sweating for the last 20 minutes to make the leaderboards update.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, guys, massive congrats. We cannot wait to see you guys at the New York City Finals. Very quickly, what we'd like to do is open the floor. You guys to get some shout-outs, send out some love, plug your Twitters, your socials, all that stuff. Thomas, let's start your way, and then we'll go to Klusha.
Shout out to Monkey Face for bringing us together.
Any social plugs?
Thomas HD on Twitter.
Thomas HD on Twitter. Man, a few words. I like that. Klusha, let's send it your way. Shout outs, social plugs, thank yous, all of it.
Yeah, I want to shout out Kazan. It's the Discord for the Danish guys. We're just hanging out in there, and I want to shout out my Twitch, Klusha, and my Twitter, Klusha, by the way.
Klusha, by the way, there you go. Very easy to find these two. Again, guys, massive congrats. We'll see you in New York City, and of course, we'll have to grab a slice of pizza.
Bye, guys. Congrats.
Thank you guys so much. We'll catch you later. And there you go. We get to talk with Klusha and Thomas. A little bit of insight there. You know, that you could tell they're just so excited to have qualified. Again, all that 10 weeks of prep work. You know, you can really tell that they've grinded. You know, they've poured their heart and soul into the game. And for them, it paid out.
And double qualification, too, is unreal.
Yep.
And over 10 weeks now, they get to, you know, take a little bit of a breather, a little bit, because, you know, they're going to hop right back on that grind ahead of July. It's going to be crazy.
For sure. Now, very quickly, before we go, there was a little bit of a mix-up, so really quickly, we wanted to show correct standings for OCE prizing and Asia prizing. So this is actually, don't forget, Serpent and Hype are the ones that have made it through from OCE, and the prizing there is on the right side. Just a little bit of a mix-up there on the numbers. And then very quickly, we'll hop on over to Asia's. Take a look there as well. Again, the players going through are correct. It was just a little bit of a typo there. A little bit of a mix-up. Things happen, you know. But, of course, Fortnite fan, we thank you guys so much for hanging out. Again, if there's people that have qualified that you are unfamiliar with, just send them a follow. Send them some love. They've worked so hard, and now they can say they've punched their ticket to the finals in New York City. But Bala, of course, we got to go to the 30-minute break. We got to get some food, all right? And then, of course, when we come back, we've got NA East up on deck. So don't go too far, Fortnite fam. We'll see you guys in 30 minutes.
Let's fly down to the lobby. Let's fly down to the lobby. Let's fly down to the lobby to get your squad some nums.
Burgers from dirt to munch.
Tacos royale with brunch. Red juices, a tasty treat for Lil Whip, Peely, and Pizza Pete. Let's to the lobby to get your squad some nums. Let's fly down to the lobby to get your squad some nums.
What's up, Fortnite fam? Sundown here, and today we are going to talk about the Tactical Assault Rifle and its addition to competitive play.
The Tactical Assault Rifle is probably one of the best additions to the game. It's a long-range weapon where you could save AR ammo if you have a drum gun.
Small bullet you can find everywhere, so it's a good weapon.
The Tactical AR is an uncommon, epic, and legendary weapon that utilizes light ammunition and has a high rate of fire. It does 22, 23, or 24 damage depending on rarity, has a pretty fast first shot accuracy timer, and a dope reloading animation. I mean, come on, just look at it. We've seen a lot of competitive players opt into using the Tactical Assault Rifle over the course of the Fortnite World Cup online open qualifiers. So let's hear from some of the players who qualified for the finals and get their thoughts on the TAC AR's addition to the game.
It's really good, like really good. Once you get to endgame scenarios like 5th zone and beyond, it absolutely beams. It's very viable in meta right now. Everybody's been using it.
I like it because you could actually sneak up on someone. It has this low sound, so it's hard to hear.
It has its viability due to its first shot accuracy that can make it really strong, and the fall off damage isn't as strong as it was for the silent SMG, which got vaulted.
I reckon the gun's awesome for endgame because if you've got height, that gun can really get a lot of eliminations because it's like a laser, and people endgame tend to have less HP than they would towards the early and mid game. So I think it's really strong in situations.
Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on the Tactical Assault Rifle, and when do you like to use it? Send us your opinions using the hashtag Fortnite World Cup, and I'll see you on the battle bus, or maybe on the high ground with a TAC AR.
What's up, Fortnite fam?
Today, we're going to be playing for $3 million for charity, folks, and it is going to be an incredible time.
50 of your favorite Fortnite personalities will be paired up with 50 celebrities put on this fantastic stage.
It's going to be awesome. It's duos, so we've seen it before at the Pro-Am last year, and it's always a blast. I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
The first match of the Summer Block Party Pro-Am is beginning right now.
They're putting down pressure. No one's safe now. That's one Elim right there. Can he get a second? That is going to get followed up.
Because he desperately needs materials. A player behind, 102 to the face. Look at this, he's just waiting for a full send. It's Symphony. He shuts him down. It's a 1v1. Who is the other player that's left?
Oh! Here it is. He's going to go with the X. Oh! Airwalks.
Wow.
Dude, that was aggressive. Look at him go here. Just beating down players. No weapons. Doesn't even need them.
Wants this. Look at this. Aiden is just supplying pressure.
Oh, tries to go to the high ground.
This might have been a mistake. This is Aiden. We're talking about more damage. Bucky's down to nothing. And Aiden, victory royale.
Ball, it doesn't connect with the shot. Marshawn Lynch hits 75 blue.
One great shot connects up, comes up over top. It's a second right there, and the Rift goes out.
Oh, she's on the run. She's chasing it down.
You're not going to let this one go away. Oh, no. You know, you're a solo. No turning back now.
35 wide on that damage there, and Ewok got the target. One build remaining, and that's it. He's going to land in front of him, and typical gamer. Final game. Typical gamer pops up behind Janina. Oh, the rage. At this point in time, not looking the best when it comes to the... Oh, no!
Final moments, Golden Boy.
This is it right here, the 1v1. It's going to be Aiden going up against Symphony, pushing forward, forcing the activity. Oh! Symphony with the victory royale! Your winner of the second Fortnite Pro-Am is RL Grime and Wow!
I'm a big fan of competitive Fortnite and watching it, so this has been really cool to be involved with.
That was easy, actually.
Easy peasy.
final beasts out of the East, who will join Dubs and Mega, Cease and Elevate, and Zayt and Saf out of this packed region. Ghost Demo and Bizzle have come so close, with just a single Shadow Bomb rotation being the difference between their trip to the final as a duo or not so far. Can they clutch up in the final week and put their high execution style strategy to work? And the question everyone wants answered: can Tfue and Cloaksy or Ninja and Reverse make it to the Fortnite World Cup final? Both have come so incredibly close in different duo weeks, and both have the eyes of everyone in the Fortnite and gaming world on them. Will these Titans move on, or will someone else rise above them in the final moments?
What's going on, Fortnite fam? We are back, and welcome to continued coverage of Fortnite World Cup Online Open Qualifiers. We're hanging out with our best friend Sundown, who's getting that real deep. Very proud of you there. Anyway, Fortnite fam, welcome. Let's go ahead and refresh your memory. All right, and we know we've been gone for a little while. All right, so let's get the memory going. All right, we'll start with the schedule. Don't forget, Oceania and Asia have already concluded. Europe as well as done. We're hopping into NA East games in here in just a moment, and we'll wrap the day later on with NA West. Don't forget, we also pushed everything back 1 hour, so that's why those times might look a little new. Now, of course, we are back to duo comp. Throughout all those placement thresholds, every elimination is, of course, a point. Don't forget about that crazy prize pool. $2 million. Every single placement spot on the board will be doubled. Do not forget about that. That is huge. Now, of course, guys, a $2 million prize pool is pretty cool. You know, it's pretty cool. But what's more important are those qualifying spots. 4 were up for grabs in Europe, excuse me. 3 in NA East, 1 in West, 1 in Asia, Brazil, Oceania, of course. I mean, we've seen quite a bit of Fortnite action today. And I mean, it's just going to continue getting better. Don't forget, we're hopping into NA East here in just a moment. But first, we kind of touched on it before this last little break. We got a new competitive Twitter, FN Fortnite. Is that what it is? FN Competitive.
Fortnite is a good one. FN Competitive, as Monster would say.
FN Fortnite.
Check out the medias. It's where we're going to be posting a ton of stuff in terms of competitive, whether it's highlights, polls, tips and trick, VOD reviews, creator content, whatever you are looking for in terms of the creative side, competitive side.
I got you.
Will be on there.
FN
Competitive. You can check it out right there. But as Zeke said, 5 more spots are up for grabs. We hopped into Brazil a little bit before the break. They'll be wrapping it up. We'll have those final standings in a bit, but now we're going to jump into NA East, where 3 of the last 5 spots are up for grabs, and let's take a look at where the standings have shaken out so far. So first, only 2 or max 3 games have been played so far, but Slacks and Keys up top, 38 in the spread. We always talk about it. 9 points so far separating them. So that's a decent buffer after your first 2 games.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with already a victory out under the belt, it's got to feel really, really good. But don't forget, we're still just kind of beginning games out. We're still feeling these games out. It is finals day, the final chance to punch your ticket to the finals in New York City. So I would expect to see the standings shift, especially if a group or 2 has like a really standout game. You know, we're talking a 20-point game. We could see this shift dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, a 20-point game would definitely shake it up. But to be said, like, that was a lot of players in NA East who we've seen a lot of. 72 Hours in Vivid. You had Naga Ops and Kenneth up there, Z-Laner and his partner. So it's no strangers to the top 10, and they're going to look to keep that pace up there. Aircool, also shout out to him. So a lot of those previous Summer Skirmish veterans showing up in Week 10.
That's right. Everyone is putting everything on the line to try and punch their ticket to the finals. But now, Fortnite fam, we're not going to keep you up too much longer. Let's get ready to hop into some games. Remember, we have a new person joining us, that is Shia Wager, and we have Bala TW to get us through all these games. Gentlemen, please, after you.
Thank you so much, Zeke and Sundown. I appreciate it, and I just cannot wait to get in these games. Shio, I'm excited to cast with you for the first time. It's going to be great, the VOD review duo coming in. But you know what else I'm more excited for? We are getting into some NA East games, and there's so many names who have yet to qualify, Shio.
All the big names, Cloaksy, Tfue. We've got Tom at the top with Vivid right now. It's going to be a dope time. Experience that you don't want to miss. I want to get right to it, Balla.
Yeah, let's get into it. The games are ready. Let's go right now into the first couple of NA East games. I mean, Shio, these Vivid, Tom, I mean, Tfue, Cloak, Bizzle, Demo. There's way too many names to list that could still qualify. There's only 3 spots to grab them.
A lot of people, and the hole's really small to fit in through, so we'll see getting right into it with Ghost Assault going to be going up towards a mid-ground layer. About the 5th zone, just locking in a very prime position as well on the zone wall. He's going to be trying to get up in height just to see if he can have a better vantage point on everyone around him. We are in the snow biome, a lot of hills available, also a lot of different types of sight lines available for different duos in different layers of height.
Yeah, and this Assault and Innocence duo from Ghost, I mean, they have been probably actually one of the most consistent duos throughout NA East and throughout the World Cup overall. Both controller players, both, you know, part of that controller gang and crowd that people are looking to have one at least full duo qualify. Still, it hasn't happened yet.
Absolutely. Right now, it just looks like they're going to be playing safe. These guys are up in the top 10 of the leaderboard. They're going to make sure they want to replicate those results they've had in these first 2 games. We talk about the way you play games now. It's been 10 weeks. It is duels as well, so there's more brains at your strategy. A big double heavy snipe coming in. Not sure if, yeah, it was both duos synchronizing that at the same time. Sometimes you can pick up on a heavy snipe that's coming off from across the server as well. A lot of action going on now. Vertical sightlines coming through. Some desynchronization on that floor placement there. We're going to see what they can do as we go to a big aerial shot of the entire snow biome at the moment.
And yeah, talk to me, Shio, about the mobility that these players are all starting to use. We're about to come up onto that, you know, that 6th zone waiting period before it starts moving. But everybody's trying to make their plans and even getting some double heavy snipers in. We already saw one tick through, and now Painful goes down. His teammate Tyler's trying to get away, and I think he is going to manage to do that, but not before Assault and Innocence grab from those spoils.
You talk about the mobility. That was the priority there from Assault getting in, just picking up that jump pad as well as topping off his smokes all the way up to 6. Very smart stuff in and out, making sure he doesn't get too much pressure from other duos as everyone looks for those free loot piles near the end of the game. Now we have Fernando on a mid-ground layer as well. YT-LewisPlayz is here as well. We'll see what he can do. Volz and Slays might be using 2 different names amongst each other. All these players switching up their names. 2 Chens going down as they hold up the Stormline pressure from their mid-ground tarped layer. A lot of chug splashes available from this duo as well. Now using Stinks. We'll see if they can play off of them or look for another angle. Going to be pushing towards Germ goes down from that Stink. Unfortunate there. They're going to be on a low ground layer, though they're going to have to move up at any moment here before the action starts seeping in from zone 6.
Oh, and unfortunately they're split heavily as we go up over Polar Peak. That launch pad. Keo and Imshoots right now using those shadow bombs to full effect to get up the mountain. Keo unfortunately falling down and taking a little bit of storm damage, and I think that's going to be the end of him. Yes, he does fall down, and the rest of these players also trying to do it. I mean, I just saw probably 3 duos total go down right now. Devious and Frosty, Wildo and his duo as well. That's crazy.
They call Polar Peak the great filter of the Fortnite competitive scene, as it's always about, do you have that rotation, do you have the mobility, or do you have the smarts to get up with your mats? Not only that, where do you base up after that on shambles or not? We see Niddle also on the top 5 at the moment with his duo Casker, sitting not at that much white health, but that Siphon can click in, especially off of sitting in that ball, looking for that opportune moment to get the guaranteed damage and elimination to make sure he stays on top for those 8th and 9th zone big pop-off moments.
See, almost taking those opportunities out of the baller right there as a couple players rotated directly in front of him, but for now, just outlasting the rest of the server. And hey, that's a good strategy, especially, you know, with these, look how many ballers there are right now, and they are having a good time on Polar Peak because they can climb and fall as fast as they want, no matter what, with those grapplers.
Absolutely. You talk about insurance as well. It's awesome when there's a lot of people moving around and maybe 1 or 2 ballers, but when you have so many ballers together, you talk about the insurance behind that mobility. Niddle, the Rift to go, now going to get out. Big shots coming in. Karos going down, in and out of there. A nice burger combo coming in as Niddle now goes all the way down. The mountain going to go back up if it does bounce back. Yes, it does. Moving back towards this huge high ground tarp layer. A lot of other natural ground to be mimicked and manipulated towards as well as they move up through this entire snow biome at the moment. Caster and Noodle surprisingly together as well. Very hard to stay together off of balls too when you are moving in these chaotic environments.
Unfortunately, that zone just went on the edge, so a lot of the players who were going onto low ground ended up being able to just come right back up without having to go down. But then Casker and Niddle with the rip play, trying to take high ground. They do take it from Tuxi, and his teammate Nut is somewhere looking for sure, but they have high ground now, and that is what they need. They have the advantage. They have all the position to win this game.
This is all part of the game plan. This is Niddle's consistent strategy. It's always near zone 7 or 8 where he goes for that last-minute high ground take and then just starts to trickle down. We see that in international regions. Brazil does it really well. DK, as he just goes down tarp by tarp, moving like this. Zextro getting popped. His duo, Vinny, going down as well as these guys are now moving towards it. Niddle bombarding the server with his positional advantage above everyone else. Metal doesn't matter when there's 2 people shooting at you at the same time. White shots coming in, a trap coming down to delay that elimination coming through from Casker as he has vertical pressure. Niddle with that horizontal pressure unfortunately did not work out. He goes down, but Casker with the quick drop down, can he capitalize off of this position that he's in on height at the moment?
That player Puffin got chunked all the way down to what looks like 1 HP there, and then I think they did end up cleaning up, but no, Casker still having height, but Assault way down below. There is so much of a height difference here. Assault could capitalize if he just looks right back in his zone and knocks out either one of these teams. I believe they're going down as Casker takes out Top Gun, and then all the way down, he does have that redeploy, so it's now Assault versus Puffin, and the rift up from the top. Casker's coming straight down. Assault is going to take care of Puffin as he was low HP, and now in the zone. Casker looking to find exactly where he needs to go. He's going to get 1 or 2 layers above Assault. Assault slowing the pace down a little bit. He still has a lot of materials to work with, and we're getting down to those final seconds of this zone. Casker versus Assault. Here comes the ramp out into the zone. He does get a shot. Now it's Assault with the HP advantage, but
flicks.
Casker with the flick shot onto Assault. He's going to take that game by himself as Niddle combines with him to 8 elimination and 18 points in that game.
Amazing control of knowing when to drop down, when to stay up. Casker playing that insurance. We talked about it with balls, but even as a duo, being sure you're split up and covering for each other's losses will always net you that win at the end.
And I'm already just giggling to myself right here because Tim the Tatman and Wildcat is the first players we're going to be hopping in with on board. With them 1 point in this game, this could be one of their first couple.
One big topic in the Fortnite community as well is the content creators versus the competitive players and their success in getting games done, getting those qualifying spots secured. Blue damage coming out from Tim. Can he see that the individual that he was shooting at, Remdog, is going to have a weakness on his left side wall? He's going to go for that blue, but it's not enough. Not enough dynamic building. In a bad position, he gets beamed down, but the pressure still coming in from Tim as he bobs down on metal tarps with his duo Wildcat. These guys are going to be showing everyone else that, hey, even though I stream Fortnite for fun a lot of the time throughout the day and make dope content, I can hang out with the big dogs as well and pop off when the moment's right.
Hey, they were both at that Pro-Am, and here they're perfectly executing a pinch as they get shot a little bit, but I think they still have it. Yes, Wildcat's going to take down that player, and Tim's going to get the finish.
Doing that classic animal aspect, right wall, left wall, showdown there on that other duo that they just cleaned up in record time. Not sure where the other individual is, but it's just big pop-off moments.
So maybe they learned something at the Pro-Am, right?
Absolutely.
That high-pressure, high-stakes situation, they played on that stage that a lot of these players are vying and fighting to get on at the end of July.
Absolutely. Talk about high pressure. Now we're on high ground where the pressure is very different, as this is the moment where you have to capitalize, make sure you get as many eliminations and pick up your points where you can. Because it's not only about winning games, you have to be dynamic enough to pick up on advantages, get those elim points, get a nice 50-50 split on what you're doing. You can't just be complacent and play these games bopping and Ghost is lost. Up top shooting at, oh, never mind. Can they get that beam off the sky? Yes, they do, as he comes rocketing down to the ground, landing below. We'll see who picks up that loot in just a second. 1 smoke grenade left for Ghost, so not that much insurance as we talked about before, but we'll see if he can make his position. It is the best one on the server, right behind where the storm is going to be rotating to, and we'll see if he can pop off from that moment as well.
So here now, 6 zone starting to move. You said it was the best position possible in the server, and I just have to wonder, why is that Shio? I mean, they have the high ground, and their back is What's going on here with Ghost and Boppin?
So in this position, as you can see, they get a nice theater widescreen 16:9 native view on the entire rest of the map moving straight towards them. And they don't have to use as many mats at all. People can rotate below them. They can follow tarps. They just are allowed to do anything they want on their own pace when you have height right behind the storm. It makes it so that the storm moves onto you. You control the pace of the game. But if you do tunnel vision like they are now, sometimes you get left behind on the storm. Snaz FN, this aim is ridiculous as 2 people have now been beamed. 6 eliminations across both individuals who are still maintaining height, which is a very difficult feat from the 5th zone all the way to the end. We'll see if it's possible. Now waterfall's coming down. It's very, very hard to have that mat management and be able to still move forward, moving zone to moving zone as the distances are so far. At this moment, though, we see them utilizing just 1 tarp layers. Hold Her Hand getting knocked by Ghost. Swervo on the low ground as well, doing a lot of work, seeing if he can survive and get up top. Let's look at this big view of the map moving forward, all metal.
And Wildcat's still up in this game, so he's, pushing towards those placement points and earning them as we speak right now. Moving closer to that top 10, Boppin and Ghost up on high ground. We've seen them time and time again find these opportunities, find these picks. Not going to find that one, just barely, as he escapes from below him. Right now, again, tarping, being efficient with their materials. They're still lasting a little bit longer, but each time they get knocked out, they get reset. They have to refresh and figure out what they want to do. Not a single one of their eliminations they have gotten the spoils from, the materials to refresh up on.
Absolutely. I feel relaxed looking at this right now. It looks like these guys are just low effort aiming. The server is just moving towards them because their position is just so good. A lot of connects coming in as well. There's going to be a mountain that people have to move up on. Boppin instantly seeing that, it moves up. Awesome game sense there. He connects. Now they have an entire choke line on everyone else at the bottom of this side of the server. They can end the game before the 9th zone even shows itself.
And I love what they're doing here. You talked about Boppin getting that mountain, getting the connection here, but Ghost is just staying down below. He knows the conditions of the server. He knows it's running dry on players, so they're making sure that they maximize all of the eliminations they can get, all the potential they can get out of the server. And I think they're going to clean up here, Shio, as they take out one more in Cam, one more player for them to find.
This awesome positioning by both people, spreading apart, then coming together on pinches. Now they're going to fight together. No reason to give the individual Keen 2 1v1s and risk that win. A big tarp coming through all the mats. They finally got some fruition from their eliminations. We'll see if Keen can pull a Savage and Shadow up. He's trying to. Not possible. They're bopping, coming out with a donkey laugh. Easy claps from this duo right now. Keen still working at it. Ghost is lost. Very awesome and smart play there, going for that last elimination point, making sure these guys have everything from this game possible. Just a perfect 5th to 9th zone height hold and awesome win at the end of the day.
And timing was everything there. They already blocked him out. You saw he tried to shadow out, but he didn't find any opportunities to get out from under that carpet that they made. It was so wide, so strong. And by the time that he ran out of HP, by the time he was about to go to the zone, they made sure they capitalized and got that last elimination.
Absolutely. I'm seeing something a little bit odd here. I see Riversen on
NA East.
The East servers. Hello.
And, not with his normal partner at all. Anthony, this is a new one for week 10.
Absolutely. You talk about week 10 pressure. It makes people make these not maybe drastic, but interesting choices to make sure they are on top of their game and have the most amount of chance to qualify. They're playing at their peak performance. So at the moment, Anthony and Riversen, 2 big powerhouses, solos and duos coming together. We'll see if they can use their position as a pivot point to make sure the entire server answers to them, just like we saw from the last game, Bala.
And Anthony is one of those players that was severely, very, very hyped going into back at TwitchCon all the way back then in last fall. It's almost a year now since then. That's pretty crazy to think about. His partner Joseph splitting up now and, going with Riversun here, and Riversun obviously possibly moving to the East Coast for this. Absolutely. Or playing on that West Ping regardless.
Big beams coming in as we talk about playing offer utility. Bolt Glace going down to this insane Munch Wombo combo. We talk about positioning as well as Anthony stays up top, letting Riverson stay in the fray of the fight, but providing support as well from just one level above. And they have that pyramid and floor edit as well. It's going to be impossible for those individuals who just went down to do anything for defense. But, Riverson looked as the role model of the West community. A lot of people learn a lot from watching his VODs and his streams. We'll see what he can do on East. Right now, it's still perfect stuff. Maybe he switched up for his ping as well. But if he is playing on 60, it looks really good.
Looks good indeed. Now moving on to another duo that definitely looks good. It's Commandment and High Sky. Commandment obviously qualifying in the first week of solos. Not yet qualifying in duos, this partner High Sky right here. I also saw in the background Snood and Thwifo, who had a very, very great performance in week 8. And Snood, one of those guys who, was just barely making it week after week after week. So last opportunity here, you have that rift to go. That's going to get them very far in this game.
Yeah, they actually choose, I think, to take the jump pad instead. It might have been an enemy rift. High Sky being the one who also had a very, very awesome Blackheart performance. We'll see if he can replicate that in this moment as well.
First place.
Yeah, first place. It was amazing. Water reviewed that, learned. We'll see if that reload might come in the way of the beam. It does, unfortunately. No damage going down as he's in brick. Has the rift and smokes as well, as Commandment now gets up with his bandages. A big shot coming off on Warrior. That's a lot of good stuff earned by High Sky there.
And you have to actually notice and take note of how he actually pulled out his rift. He was like, let's go, I'm ready for this. But then starting to, realize exactly what needs to go on. Commandment gets beamed down, but he waited that last extra second to get that elimination. But thankfully for Commandment, at 1 HP, Shio, he does have the minis and the bandages to recover it.
After week 6, people understood that white health is something you have to prioritize so much, especially with the storm flip coming in throughout this whole week. It was just recently disabled for week 10, so people might still be on that bandwagon of holding that white health as for patterns when you practice and then you play again. He's very thankful for that right now, Commandment, because he has those white HPs somehow finding each other in the same box after smokes. It's so hard to locate a good path to move around in, but now Commandment looking for anything to capitalize on. Big beams coming down, 272. The entire blue shield gets broken from that low ground commando skin. Fami finally going down to the storm actually after that beam. We'll see if these actually smoke again, stick together. Balls everywhere as well. They're going to be dropping down to the low ground. This is the best option for people trying to stick together, but the riskiest after it's done, because you have to now make an entire new development of your own layer, your own boxes, to get enough pressure to capitalize on through the rest of the game.
Now Commandment going down to low ground here with High Sky. I'm curious of what's in High Sky's inventory of heals or anything like that yet, but Commandment did get that siphon from the player who went down to zone, but hold on. Explode's coming in from the side. They back up together. Now Shadow's going in again. So, Shio, you've VOD reviewed all these situations many, many times. Look what happened here to Commandment. Playing low ground in these situations end up being so risky, but also potentially rewarding as he picks up one more elimination.
The biggest thing about this zone at the moment is that although people hate on them, balls are still available, making it so that there's not too many builds blocking Commandment from coming back up from that low ground. We talk about low, let's switch over to high. Riverson up top with Anthony, once again doing the rain dance, all the bullets falling down below. Frey, Snood, and Thwifo are actually going to be the ones to get the front of that force from up top. Riverson dropping down, taking a little bit of fall damage, needs a siphon elimination here as he does not have any white heals at the moment. A surprise box opening is now going to be realized at where the pressure is coming from Riversand. We'll see if he can dynamically switch between these mat layers to get a nice vantage point or a surprise shot off on anyone, but there are so many hard mats at this point. Everyone's adapted on the rotation meta, the tunneling meta, when to have wood out, when to use brick and metal, and it's going to be so hard, especially with attack AR, to beam through these builds.
You can see him trying to open up the sightlines, trying to break through and create any sort of gap where he can find an opportunity. There does get a little bit of a shield tag, but still nothing yet, as you talked about, the hard mats being so useful for these players down on low ground. Now getting up close and personal, that's Thwifo who goes down, so Snood now left on his lonesome.
We talk about using utility. There's not much available left to crack open the server. We did see Riverson use some stinks earlier to capitalize on an elimination. High Sky now down on bottom with Bluff. These guys are going to have to fight for this entire layer. Big shots being traded. Bluff goes and gets that elimination on High Sky. TJ now falling with COD Genesis. One of the other duos left is going to be a 2v2v1. Anthony and Riverson want to crush down this entire high ground layer. Makes it very easy to pressure. No one's on ultimate low at the moment. Can Bluff call that bluff and go all the way down? COD Gen comes down to Bluff. He might get the siphon for that as well. Give him a nice, easy picking on Anthony and Riverson, as well as they might be able to take height now. A 1v1 coming in, but Riverson representing NA East now, popping off and getting that elimination.
Switching coasts, and I think that was a perfect, opportunity to talk about their chemistry there in the last moments. That timing by Anthony and Riverson to come down right on top of all the duos, right as they all fell within each other, all of them trading shots together, and then they just come in and clean up. That's all they needed to do.
Absolutely, just stick on the same page, not one person building and one person shooting, 2 shots coming in, and a nice 1-for-2 trade there, or 2-for-1 trade, netting them the win. We now have Zopher chilling on, once again, a Polar Peak lair. Looks like every region is now having their own respective biome to play in. We saw EU with a lot of guys or Northeast games. We'll see if the filter, the great filter, can be overcome this time as Thick Boy Uravs and 99 Zofer see if they can hold off on this pressure. The wall replaces, you're never sure how much ping your enemy has, how much you have. Ooh. A big trap placement coming in. B-Man going down, no secret there, as the whole server now knows the mistakes they've made on that push.
That was a crazy prediction there by Zofer to realize, hey, he's pressuring my roof. He maybe got a roof or two or whatever, but then realizing he's going to drop down on my wall next. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively place this trap. And he fell right into it.
The grind that these players do, Atlantis to Duo Arena to these big pro scrims, you'll be facing so many people and identifying so many patterns that sometimes it's just second nature to predict things that just work out for you all the time as well. Sheep and Family now on the top of Polar Peak.
Speaking of second nature, I mean, we're in the box fight era right now, so that is exactly true. As Sheep and Famhood with the high ground on Polar Peak, they're trying to control this entire thing. They're trying to control that edge, and it could be so valuable for them. No, I'm gonna go ahead and dive down.
At the moment, not Panda, not in his natural climate. Gonna get frosted over by Sheep, who's gonna survive with that big wool fur all over his body. These misfits up top gonna make sure they're gonna do a little bit of mischievous things to the rest of the server as well. 4D, Raz, and Vorpal though, sneaky right below. Not sure if Famhood and Sheep know where they are. Famhood making sure he has some insurance just in case the zone does bounce back. It's actually looking like it is gonna go a little bit behind them. They have that prime position once again.
You just mentioned the insurance right there. What Famhood did was actually connect to the side of Polar Peak so that he makes sure, hey, Raz and Vorpal, I know you guys are down there. I know we landed on your base, but this is our real estate now. If you want to go ahead and make edit plays, no, you can't. I bought it.
Yeah, the Fortnite housing market has some beef in it right now. We'll see if these guys can figure it out, up that property value. Gonna look at low ground right now. Once again, these people getting caught on the backside of zone, maybe using that rift a little bit too late, all the way up top. Postic taking an elim out on Tyler's. Tyler's now getting knocked after that. The sacrifice you make on low ground sometimes can be too much to give you any advantages as well. A stink grenade coming out on the follow-up. Axiom
perfect
gets
math. Right? He's doing it in his head right now. He knows exactly what he hit that player for. He saw the white damage come through. He did the math. He did the addition. He knows one stink is going to take you out. So perfect recognition here. They took out Painful's teammate a second ago, but no, I thought he was going to go ahead right through the back of that. It's going off the side of Polar right now, and we know who's up on top. It's still Famhood and Sheep continuing to hold that real estate.
The big thing about this Polar mountain, especially when you're playing on the side of it, is it always gives you natural ground to connect to on the mid-ground tarp layer. So that's going to be very important for all these teams who are going to be looking for shots above and below. Trying to shoot up from mid-ground is always a big risk as you can get knocked down from below you, but now that can be opened up. So Sheep is being very meticulous about where he looks at, focusing a lot of his attention on the low ground layers because he knows that this position might be out on him, but he has a lot of shields and a rift as well, just in case things do hit the fan. We'll see if he has to use it at all. Dropping in Storm to now waterfall down once again. GOAT mat management. He's going to be using one mat all the time to fall, making sure he falls diagonally to make sure he saves on a mat from a tarp switch as well, which is really nice. One elim amongst this duo though, so the capitalization on points might not be there yet, but there are 20 individuals left alive, 12 duos. That first placement point comes in, and we'll see if they can get more points all the way up to the Vic Roy.
I really like what they're doing here, moving so slowly forward. Does find Raz, who's below him all that time before, but slowly going in on the edge, really making it so that people don't realize that they're a threat, that they're up there, that they have high ground, and they're owning the game right now. Famhood still looking for those opportunities, just like you said. I think he's going to find one more as these players decide to fight. Couple in the zone. He does find KZ, but falls all the way down, unfortunately. Going all the way down to 21 HP, and I already see a problem here because there's stink grenades in play, really, up on high ground.
Stink grenades in play on height is one of the most dangerous things because sometimes you can't even build higher. It's a lot worse for you at the end of the day. Wall replaces coming in. Dynamic Menace goes down. The 2-tap coming in. Very nice stuff from Sheep here. He's going to start to go down as well, but he's getting pressured from all sides at the moment. Famhood is also alive on a tick of HP right now. They're going to be looking for connects if that's possible. Famhood staying up so he doesn't get damaged at all either.
And that crazy switch, mat switch right there as he was waterfalling down with wood, and then suddenly he switches. He still had 430 wood. Switches to brick. Makes it possible for him not to get knocked down. and I'm seeing a bunch of names down here that we started with. We saw Uravs, Posick, and then Bumpa and Slappy, who each week we have been coming back to, and they've been getting better and better as they've started their journey as a duo together.
Absolutely. High tier loot as well from everyone, so every shot that connects will connect hard. Clank now trying to find a way through with Posick. We'll see if they can come up. 5 eliminations up. Can they get more? The final placement points has been handed out. A shadow comes in, and he gets stopped and slapped away. Slappy gonna get eliminated at the end over there. Some edits getting misplayed from Clank. Can he make it in? 46 HP, 26 now. A lot of damage taken, gonna be detrimental towards the end of the game. Fanhood actually goes down, so Sheep is left by himself. Clank jumping all the way up. Looks like he actually gets eliminated by the Storm, trying to go for an advantageous position.
Slappy actually got the elimination there because the Storm took him out, and Bumpa's still alive, so that point does connect, and they get into the top 5 as Super Evan goes down. Now it's a 1v1v1. Bumpa goes out to Godnik right there, and it's Sheep versus Godnik. Sheep on the high ground, Godnik down below, but he's in a little bit of a pickle because there's actually an iceberg in the way. He goes out in the Storm. I think he might have just taken high ground. Sheep doesn't realize where he's at. He's using the chug to heal off. He's running away from Godnik. The first time we've seen the chug splash used in that sort of manner. Running away, getting the ice on his feet on purpose, and then going right out. The chug splash it's here, it's ready, and we're getting back to those crazy heal-offs, Shayo.
It's happening. It almost looked like a PG fight was going on, but we'll see. Go back to Zeke and see what's up with the rest of the games coming up.
I like that rhyme. I'm about that, Shy. I like you. You're a really cool guy. Man, what an insane game there coming out. The Chug Splash, man. I'm telling you, we have not seen the ceiling for this item. And people are going to continue using it to do some really fun and crazy things like that, but great for the player to identify, you know what, I can just live. I'm just going to keep just splashing the ground. I'm good.
Well, it's a great, because it's a change, right? I talked about it a little bit earlier. This fundamentally shifts kind of how those full storm closure and those heal-offs play, because usually you have to account for it. There's no insta HP. It's either a HP over time via the slope or the campfire, or you have to commit to either proccing it off, whether it's the bandage, the med kit, or sitting there and popping a shield. So now all of a sudden, when it's an insta 20 HP and it stacks up to 6 times, like, you can exchange those out. So now a siphon might not be enough. And I mean, those end games, things are getting weird.
Things are getting weird. Speaking of weird, I don't know. I didn't make a great transition. But we're hanging out with Sundown.
These plays were sick. They weren't
I was going to say, yeah.
Let's get right on into it, or let's dive on in. You can see the swimming pool over there. But first, we're on board with Niddle and Casker. Now, Niddle has qualified in the solos, is able to pick up 2xe there, and then start his work from top down. He picks up a nice double here onto Zextra right away, and then he finds Vinny right afterwards. So brilliantly done from him to be relentless, chase up with this, and manages to get the wall replaced, and then pushes in and will be able to close that one out. But gets knocked there. Casker, however, held the high ground, didn't go down to contest, and is going to be able to ride this one out. You can see it's a 2v1v1, but he equalizes by picking up Top Gun and then getting the first shot in the second one. 6 HP left. We talked about the difference that could end up being it, but Ghost is lost, and Boppin didn't look lost here. They were able to put the bop on the rest of the lobby, picked up Snaz there, and this one was all about control. They're running the high ground from the entire time. They made sure they identified the threats by them, and then they picked good targets on the edge of the storm. And you can see Ghost following up right away. Virtue trying to make a move, but it wasn't enough, and Boppin is going to be able to just follow it up, and you can see them being relentless. And then Ghost, this is great. They tarp out the whole level. They know he's there, and Ghost is like, we're not going to lose. I'm 100-100. I'm going to go down. Every point matters. That one got them the 13th elim, and now we got Anthony and Riverson. So Riverson used to be the best of the West, now playing over in the East, trying to be a beast here, doing everything he can to get another qualification spot. He wants it so badly, picking up Twyfo there and trying to push through. You can see pulls up with a great flank and control around the zone to get TJ, stay in it, and then recognize the shot onto Bluff at the end. Just brilliantly done. We've seen Riverson before, and now trying to do it with the new duo of Anthony in the final week. We're used to seeing him with Persecute, but let's see if it's enough to get him up here on the standings.
Here we go. Right now at the top, you've got Zayt and Saf leading with 48 points, 4 games played. But right behind them, you got the liquid duo of 72 and Vivid. Tetra and Eclipse right behind them. And look at this, man. From top to bottom, an 8-point spread. that's, I mean, 8 points in striking distance is, you know, making it what, let's say top 5 and a few victory royales, and suddenly you're finding yourself up all the way up here. I mean, this is still really, really close.
And the one thing you have to realize, Eclipse and Tektra have already qualified. Zayt and Saf have already qualified. So right now it would be 72 Hours and Vivid, Slacks and Keys, and then Assault and Innocent. But with all of these players here, we've talked about a reasonable pop-off game being about 15 points. It's a 5-win victory royale or a top 5 with 8 elims. And in duos in particular, because everyone kind of squishes together at the end, those numbers can be inflated. We've seen 20-plus point games.
Yeah.
We saw Stompy and Tashinkin drop back-to-back 20-point games to take the top. It is still anybody's tournament for the last 3 spots. And again, this is it. After this, you're done. If you played on NA East, you can hang it up. If you're not going to New York, you get to watch with everyone else.
That's right. And again, you know, if you're seeing these players and you don't recognize them, or maybe you do, just take a moment, send them some love. They're playing their hearts out right now, trying to punch their tickets. But of course, Fortnite fam, we're ready to hop back into more games. Thank you so much, Sona, for hanging out. We're going for a dip, so let's send it back over to Bala and Shia Wager.
Thank you, Zeke. Those eyebrows always on fleek, and so is NA East as we get into Dubs and Mega, the big titans of the entire server on solos and duos. A nice, varied actually rotation coming in. A ball sticking beside a flintlock pistol like a mother deer and her fawn as these guys move around the field at the moment. A lot of mats available as well, and they keep saving these mats as well when they use this type of rotation.
I love the use of the flintlock as a rotational item. It's something that you can always basically count on finding at least one, or maybe a glider redeploy, shadows, or something. And that flintlock, hey, sometimes you have it and you're like, oh, I don't have any rotation, but it saves the day here as Dubs and Mega make their way towards the zone and almost approaching that top 25. That's not a placement threshold here in duos. It's actually still half of the server alive right now.
It's just really impressive that these guys use these many limited mats, save the ball in without taking any damage, as it's so hard to do when one player has the ball and the other player doesn't. It takes so much experience. Speaking of experience, knowing the proper sight lines and the proper builds to shoot as well is huge, as Dubs is going to be calling the shots on who to shoot at the moment. Dubs looking at boxes beside him as well that are just completing. A lot of chaos going on around him as well. A blue tac shotgun available, so he gets multiple shots in close range. It actually does out DPS the combat if you are in that box-to-box moment, and that's what he's going to be looking for, doing his patented wall replacing. It is the box fight meta. And we'll see if Mega can play that meta as well, as one duo holds while the other one pushes. Flintlocks coming in that tack. Double tap. Ghoul goes down, now representing his name as a ghost in the server. We'll see what else these duels can do as we look at a huge aerial shot of everyone on the same layer on this mountain in the map.
Now, starting to flatten out, but we know the moving zones are coming, and we know those change things very fast. As I was looking at those standings, I was looking and seeing what the average points are for those top places, the people who are going to be qualifying. Zayt and Saf up at the top, they were averaging just slightly over 10 points a game at 46, and they had only played 4 games. Same thing with 72 and Vivid. And, you know, I have a funny story about Dubs and Mega, actually. Dubs was giving me advice on how to play in the finals. He was like, Bala, you got this. You can qualify. All you need to do is get 10 points a game. I'm like, okay, buddy. You're only one of the few people who can do that consistently.
One of the only in the world. We talk about the placements and where individuals are in these leaderboards. The first 5 games and the last 5 games and these 5 shots coming out of Vix are so different and important as he gets that knock. When players are playing your first 5, the mentality is very different. You have some momentum, but as you move around in those leaderboards, those last 5 games, people start getting more serious. People start throwing games. Speaking about throwing things, all these bodies getting thrown in the air as everyone is on rotation at the moment as the zone just starts moving. Looks like no one's really moving that late. Rote is left behind with Zeshi as well.
And I'm already seeing the top 3 players, or duos, up on the leaderboard, Vivid and 72, and we saw Keys and Slacks as well down below them. Looks like Vivid is in a clutch situation right now as his teammate is already down, trying to find the player on the zip line. He heard it coming. Started to put his attention immediately on it as he tunnels forward. Again, we talk about it every single time. It's always get ahead of the zone, look back. Look for those gatekeeping shots as he sees, he opens it up, gets the stairs in, the edit comes through. Divine had no chance and no speed to realize that that was going to happen from Vivid, taking an opportunity to find that elimination.
Divine on the low ground now being dropped down to the underworld as Vivid starts to make his way up. 72 has been eliminated, so it's all him. Only 10 mats though, so it's just him and a Dream at the moment. Now has to barrage through enemy builds with his pickaxe. Has an edit though. The last mat that was his in that box. The dynamic zipline play coming in as he does gain a little bit of height, but needs to go even higher. Balls flying all around him in the map as well. H-tag going down. Can he get the mats from that elimination? Yes, he can. 20 metal only though, as he still has to rely on his trusty pickaxe, denying a player height on that layer as well. He does have one launch pad and one mat left. Tickers all the way up top with Hornet, who has qualified in solos as well. We'll see if he can replicate that and get double qualled with his dual partner as well. Kuturba dropping down a layer. We'll see if Vivid can find a way up.
Vivid doing crazy things right now. Fortunately, the zone did go back in his favor, so he doesn't have to spend too many materials as it's going downhill, and he uses the one piece of metal to block that shot, and now he's looking for more. He's looking to refresh. He needs to find something, possibly both of these eliminations in the storm. Yes, this is going to be the mats that he needs to refresh. Not even much, though. Every single time he finds an elimination, there's not much at all. The edit coming through, is he going to finish it off? Yes, but does he get the mats? Not really. Not really just yet, but taking the time, going back, still only 10 builds, really 15 builds here. Vivid, can you really do this right here with no mats from all the way back when? Clutching up, now into the top 5. He is doing this.
The big thing about getting these low ground eliminations is that everyone else is also in shambles. The big wall barrage coming in with the flintlock, just nice knowledge about where your materials are and where the angles are to get in. Has 2 heavy snipers available as well, so he takes multiple chances at moving through. Has to move up layers though. Silent edits coming in. Big Enas as well as Frat gets flown off that low ground as well. Vivid's just moving in ways I've never seen. Can he get that launch pad off?
No.
It might not be enough time. Vivid now going down to the zone is going to hold back as much as possible to see if the enemies were making a mistake, but that's the game. Hornet and Tickers playing the positional game there and winning it off with all this multi-high and low ground coming out. Look at these tarps, Bala.
Yeah, this fossil is ridiculous as it goes all the way back. I mean, really, we could actually track the story of Vivid, right? He had no materials through all of this. He barely contributed to that thing, but he survived until top 2. So what a performance there from Vivid, and that's why they're up there. That's why they're in second place right now.
It's always that 1 or 2 pop-off game, and it's always also about staying consistent. If Vivid and Tom keep playing that way, easily they can qualify this week 100%. We see Stinks now, the big focus of week 10. A lot of people carrying them more than normal I've seen right now in all these regions. Nice dodges from Grasha there, though. We'll see if he can move forward. Has a lot of mats available for the moment. 3 elims amongst him and his dual partner Daxter, both representing E11 Gaming. They do have that patented flintlock and redeploy combo. I think is one of the most dynamic combos in the game, as you don't have to pull out anything if you fall off from height. It's very easy to kind of manipulate where you want to be exactly with those 2 items. Granted though, they do take 2 slots.
But I mean, 2 slots, and we've seen the use of it. Actually, I don't know if we've seen it on broadcast yet, but there's starting to be a lot of innovative uses with the Flint Knock and the Glider redeploy. You actually go faster, even horizontally, when you use that Flint Knock and the Glider redeploy, because you shoot that Flint Knock, it pushes you with the momentum, and then you're using that Glider redeploy to just carry you forward.
The biggest thing about it, too, is that you can choose when to stop and take your shots as well. We see a lot of stuff happening on low right now as well. We have Pika on the server as well.
What is this? Is West just migrating to East? What is going on? Why are you here, Pika?
Maybe the timings of West, they thought, hey, we should get into games now, and they fell off on the East. We'll see if they can get the stuff done. There are 2 more qual spots on East compared to West, though, so maybe that's one big thing if these guys think that they can pop off.
I mean, we've seen in the past Psalm, you know, he is a West Coast player, but the first week he actually moved over to East, making sure that he gives himself the most opportunities, the most spots, and he qualified first try. He's actually even East still with his partner Symmetrical this week, so Pika taking a little bit of a note from Psalm.
Yeah, absolutely. At the moment, though, this is not the first chance. This is the last chance. It's week 10, so everyone's pulling out all the tricks from the bag. No secrets here. We'll see if we get anything equivalent of an Olaf boost. We'll see if there's any secret stats happening as that door edit comes through. People now have adapted to that, though. They know that someone's coming through that door. Assault taking all his shield off when he gets onto this rotation. Only 2 minis available. We'll see if Innocence has any heals as well to supplement this duo as he gets booped a little bit. A little bit of interruption there on his minis. He does have shadows available. Once again, 1 player on shadows, 1 player on the balls, and in perfect position as well as he can beam Hydra from the zone line. A nice dynamic switch onto the floor from the wall once he realized that someone was already pressuring that wall. This is just those micro decisions these players make at the last second of these shots to get that elimination when they move across the map as well. They're going to be on rotation now. We'll see when they box up and go back.
Assault getting beamed from the back, not realizing there was a player who's going to immediately realize that he's there. But I got to talk about it. We said pulling out all the stops. Assault and Innocence right here, they're sticking to the tried and true, the 1 baller strat. We've seen them do this, even dual baller all the way through from the beginning, but they just got ripped in. That baller is gone now and they have to dive. No, Innocence is still down there, actually. I misspoke. There's so many players in the sky right now, but still. So I think he still has that baller. I think it could still last a lot, but look at his HP right now, not working out just yet. Where did Assault go? Did he land nearby?
He landed on the mid-ground there, Bala, and he got right to work as Branchies, who is also on East right now, playing it up, gets a big knock down from Assault. He, as soon as he landed, even though he was split, went straight to work, started bullying Davon, who also landed with Fernando on that mid-ground, and he has this insurance, once again getting tagged up. People just predicting everything these players are doing when it comes to smokes. There's no safety available. Everyone's on their best behavior. They know all the stops they can pull to get this pressure down. Assault's now getting dynamic with it. Might not move the same way to get that shadow off. It might affect him on the amount of distance he can move, but he still has Matt's 500 wood left, actually, which might prove fatal near the end of the game as that wood can get shredded through, just like cheese in a grater. We'll see if he can keep it yummy, though. Assault on 41 HP, needs some more food, needs some more eliminations to get that siphon off and get him back up to 100. Sees that storm line sight line as Word Bro gets .exe'd out of the game. He's off now. 28 builds left for Assault. He doesn't get to pick up those mats. Owen and Threats owning probably the best mid-ground tarp they can have right now, but they're getting stinked off of it as there's so many people fighting for these high mid-ground layer tarps as well.
Staying on board with Assault, just great shots as he immediately realized that player was going to make an edit on him, getting the double combat shotgun shot through. And I think he wants to go for the mats, but maybe a little bit risky. Does find a med kit. Is he going to find the time to pop it? Is this the final zone? I don't think he's going to be able to do that unless he really goes for the full heal off right here. Now, down on low ground, there's still so many people left alive, Shiloh. I mean, there are 11 players total, 7 duos still remaining in this game, and it's final zone. It is time. 1 minute left in the game.
People are going to be playing super, super smart. The placements have not even gone out yet. All the points there. Still duels to get knocked down. 8 W keys get sent back to the jungle. No opportunity there for him to get any placements, unfortunately. 1 duo still needs to go down. Assault looking very healthy on HP and shield right now. Has a little bit more time to move through the storm. That storm taking 10 damage a second. Gives him about 8 to 9 seconds to move throughout without an elimination. Speaking of eliminations, Intangible goes down as Assault is now just freaking on everyone. Another shot coming in. Threats is getting eliminated. Can he keep it going? Assault has that low ground layer. It's very dangerous for the surprise factor. Davon getting that shot off, but it's not over yet. Creo and Nolan in a 1v1. Both their duos have gone down. Creo with the Superman launchpad on the height. Still has mats to answer with it as well. Starts taking the ticks of health first, but resets those ticks as Nolan has fallen under less HP. Creo with the high IQ launchpad and safety switch to stay in the storm and clinch out that game. Huge plays there. 3 eliminations. The victory royale. Creo, you can't do it better, Bella. You can't.
Creo just pulled off one of the most insane clutch launch pads I have ever seen, knowing exactly that Dusty Divot has these, kind of elevation changes. It goes up and then it goes down drastically. He knows there's builds up there. I can get up there and I can out-heal or outlast you as you have to make your way through all of that old fossil. Perfect play there from Creo, and that's why he's qualified in solos, right? So he's trying to do it now, trying to get double qualified and bring his teammate KiwiFace along with him.
We talk about qualified duos and solos. Sap and Zayt now, who also qualified for duos, are going to be looking at getting some more money and placement as well as they keep playing for these top spots for respect and practice as well. Slurp sticking on Sap. He does have a few more elimination. A lot of loot to work with now. Looks like they have excess mats as well. They're in zone. They could big up their base if they wanted to, make it a little bit bigger for more sightlines, or they could stay cool, calm, collected. One cool thing I see from low ground usually is if you stay a little bit more low key and then look for surprise shots where people don't expect it, that's where you can get those big picks. On height, it's always dope to, edit your walls, see if there's any advantage points, but with low ground, you usually have 1 or 2 angles, and you can get those pop-off moments there.
So Saf and Zayt, I've seen a little bit of on Zayt's Twitter about his strategies going into New York, talking about how he's trying to control his drop spot being Loot Lake. That's going to be one of the most interesting storylines in New York, being the fact that they claim Loot Lake to themselves, but we know how many duos are already dropping there. We know how many duos are already qualified in New York. So Zayt talking about, I'm trying to stop anybody else from being in there because he already has Sean and Aiden. He already has Mitra and Mongo. They're trying to claim Tilted, but they could come back to their old home the way they qualified.
The mind games from duos saying on Twitter, we might be taking this spot or that spot. The biggest theme for Worlds is going to be clashing of all these storylines. Everyone plays in their region. They know the rules, but that always gets flipped. As Juxta gets flipped as well in the Storm, he goes down. Easy Elam points picked up from Sap and Zayt.
Yeah, I do want to shout out real quick somebody who's been doing a lot of research on those clashes going into New York in solos. He put together all the drops. That's Arcane on Twitter. Absolutely amazing work. He just does that week in, week out, and now we really can look at a map and say, okay, we're going to see this, we're going to see that, and I can't wait for it. But you know what else I can't wait for? It's Fuzzy and Hogman. This is one of the teams that has had those, heartbreaking weeks, those heartbreaking moments, but also very positive, triumphant, because every week they're up there as Hogman picks up webs. Every single week, they are getting so close. And we saw them up on the leaderboard before, right around probably possibly this game is fresh for us, not even realizing any of the points here. Hogman, you are crazy. He just went all the way up on high ground with the baller, and Fuzzy's doing the same too, but staggered because now, no, just barely. I thought he was going to take full high ground while Hogman fights from below. But what a crazy play there. They're all of a sudden in a really good position.
They talk about the use of ballers in competitive, but no one does it better, I think, than Hogman and Fuzzy. Hogman was the king of ballers coming in from solo. He's kind of given that knowledge to Fuzzy as well. The amount of time they can keep these ballers alive near the end of the circle. A Rift coming out now, seeing if they can once again reposition. Looks like their game plan is always zone 6 and 7. Fight for that height. Use your mats then. So if the balls don't work, we'll see if the Rift to go can work. And it does almost, as Hogman gets that slow deploy, but pops off on Sean Claude from the back. We'll see if he can build up. Another shot coming in. The Sidewinder combat shotgun. We'll see if he can wall replace here. His enemy goes down lower towards the ground. Sean gets that Elim, or Hogman gets the Elim confirmed on Sean. Multi-layered high ground available as well for this duo.
Yeah, and I'm curious, okay, they are going to use the launch pad to get right back down. Actually, Fuzzy's going to go ahead and drop all the way down. He does have that glider redeploy, but one thing I'm noticing in their inventory, they have the chug splashes. We saw the play earlier from Famhood. So that is a possibility here in this game, but there's still so much to play, Shio.
The chug splash is one thing you can always bait and switch with. We saw that high ground PG fight about to happen.